grew up on this dirt road called Duck Run, and his dad was a laborer in the steel mills. Out of the 9 children, he was the only one that graduated from high school, and so it seemed kind of unlikely that he would end up going to college. But there was this thing about Ted. He had a way of engaging with his classmates. He was a leader at school and in his church group, and so people, I think, saw in him a person that was worth investing in.
You know, he's somebody that, you know, wasn't really a boss-employee relationship. He really, I think everybody that worked with him, you know, he really worked to get to know them, and, you know, you just got so much energy from being with him. He was like that with everybody. He just found ways to connect with people.
Yeah. We had him on the road at 6, 7 a.m. and back at 9 and 10 every night, and that's what he lived for.
He used to complain a little bit if we didn't have him scheduled all day long and into the night. He wanted to keep going.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I met Ted in early 1981 when he came to Columbus. Here was this person who was just so smart and so competent and yet so kind and so humble.
But really, if you want to look at somebody's character, watch them when no one else is looking. I saw Ted late at night in the governor's residence, on the campaign trail, on our first day in office and our last day in office when no one else was watching. It was the same Ted Strickland that the public saw.
Governor Strickland was huge on diversity and inclusion even before they were the big buzzwords that they are today. And he thought it was important that we have a judiciary that reflected the faces of the communities that judges served.
I mean, he was such an extraordinary advocate for, you know, the vulnerable people in his district. And when somebody would come to him with a situation, he would go to the ends of the earth to try to help them. And it's something that you don't witness with a lot of other people, and that's inspired me. That stayed with me.
The way he treated the people that he represented, he treated them like family. I can recount times when we were traveling as a member of Congress, when he was in Congress in Southeast Ohio, and literally if he saw somebody broken down on the highway, he would pull over, ask them if they were okay, see if they needed help, see what he could do. It was small things like that that were really genuine, and it was rare, I think, in politics to see somebody that was so genuine, that cared so much about the people that he represented.
What struck me most about the governor was his compassion, his character, his drive to help the least, the last, and the lost. Everything that he did was about strengthening people, helping them to understand that they were an important part of the fabric of our entire state.
We're talking about somebody who puts everybody else above himself. While he was in Congress, while he was governor, to him it wasn't about serving himself, it was about public service. And this is not just something he did as a politician. I mean, this is something he did throughout his whole career, whether it be as a prison psychologist, as a Methodist minister at a children's home. He has touched the lives of countless people through his service, through his dedication and commitment to others.
I was dealing with receipts that he brought in from the credit card and stuff, and there was a bill for oxygen. And I asked him what that was about, because I knew he didn't need oxygen, and he had been out on a home health care tour with a woman, and they went into a home. It was like on a Friday afternoon, and she couldn't get any oxygen before Monday, and she was having so much trouble breathing, and there's nothing they could do, so he went out and bought her this tank of oxygen. Well, he'd just been in office a little bit. We didn't have very much money, and I said, you know, you just can't do this. There's too much need out there. And he said, I just couldn't turn away from what I saw. That's all. And he started walking away, and then he turned back to me and he said, and you couldn't have either. And so that was one of the stories I love the best about him, because I love it that he does pay attention and he will not turn away from what he sees as a need.
Ted was serving the state at a really rough time. I think in those times and in those tough choices and in policy decisions and spending decisions, you really got a glimpse of his priorities and who he was. He deeply believed that education transformed his life, and he wanted that for everyone else. So when we were in the throes of this recession, having to make, just really tough decisions, he made it clear that we were not cutting K through 12 education, and we were going to continue to prioritize higher education and keep tuition down.
He always exemplified what I think is a decent human being in his leadership role. And therefore, it was really easy for me to stand behind him, to go the extra mile to try to help him. And I think that's sort of the way it was with the staff too.
The recession unfortunately defined, his governorship, but I'm really glad that a guy like Ted Strickland was in office making those decisions, because our state could have had a very different leader and be in a very different situation than we are right now.
Yeah.
There is no more authentic, genuine person that's ever served in public service than my friend, Ted Strickland. He is, I think, the best person ever to serve as governor, and somebody who I always will look up to as a mentor, as a colleague, and as a friend. Ted, I look at you every day. Thanks.
Thank you, Ted, for giving me an opportunity that I didn't even know that I wanted. You've allowed me to have a profession that has become my passion. I appreciate you for everything that you've done, and I'm still working to justify the confidence that you placed in me almost 9 years ago. So thank you.
Ted and Francis, I love you very much. Love you both very much. You've been a mentor to me. You both have cared for me like a second set of parents. Thank you for all you've done for me. I'll never forget it, and will always cherish the moments we spent together, and look forward to spending more moments and times together in the future.
Thank you, Ted, for giving me all the opportunities to launch my career. Thank you for taking a chance on me, and for the wonderful experiences that we've had ever since.
Thank you, Ted, for everything you did for me.
Thank you, Ted.
Thank you, Ted, for everything you've done.
Opsy says,
Thank you, Ted.